Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with The TED Show, and I am very excited to have Karen Willis with Early Learning Coalition of Orange County, ELCOC.org, on the show today. We have a lot to talk about, especially the first 2,000 days and what that means, what's going on with our kids, what efforts she's making and her organization are making during these crazy times. And then, of course, we want to learn a little bit more about Karen. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I'm very excited to have you on. I love ELCOC. I think it's just so critical and so important, but I believe a lot of people don't even know about ELCOC. But before we get there, let's learn a little bit about you. Give us some origin story, if you don't mind, Karen.
An origin story. Okay, well, I'm a Floridian transplant, moved here about 20 years ago from Indiana, was very tired of being cold all the time. So whenever we get a cool spell here in Florida, I like freak out. I just Florida to be cold. I want to be warm. I've kind of came by early childhood through the work that I did with publicly funded workforce programs. I spent a lot of time counseling young people who were absolutely unprepared for the workforce because they did not have the kind of educational experiences and opportunities in their lives that allowed them to be as successful as they otherwise could have been. So when I came to Florida, was the year that the state passed the school readiness legislation. And it really was land-breaking legislation that about how we were going to really appreciate all the brain research that had been being done around that period of time, nation at risk, those kinds of things that really said that if we want a strong workforce in the future, we need to start very young. And I came here right as that legislation was passed and had the opportunity to start working with the early childhood system about 3 years after I arrived in Florida. So very excited.
It's exciting work that you all do. Tell them what early childhood even means. Give them a background on ELCOC and what function it is, how it works, who's involved. I think a lot of people might have heard of it, but they don't know what role it plays.
Well, the Early Learning Coalition is a public-private partnership. We primarily work in the administrative and public policy space. To try to help our community understand the importance of the first 5 years of a child's life, the first 2,000 days. We talk a lot about brain development and the importance of getting off to a great start. Our organization oversees the subsidy program for low-wage working families. We serve about 8,500 kids a month in that program. We also oversee the VPK program, which is the state's program for all 4-year-olds the year before they're eligible for kindergarten. We serve about 15,000 kids a year in the VPK program. We're probably one of the largest VPK programs in the state. I think Miami is a little bigger than we are, but Orange County does a really good job in getting our 4-year-olds into the VPK program. We do a lot of work with early childhood teachers to help them develop their credentials, provide a lot of books, supplies, materials, things that childcare and early childhood programs need in order to make sure that kids are having a really great experience.
So what age do you start with?
Our focus is children from birth to 5. We can, through the subsidy program, offer services up to age 13. For children, but for the most part, we really work in the birth to 5 space, the first 5 years of a child's life.
I'm going to share this. It's embarrassing, but I had to do the math on what the 2,000 days were when you said that. I'm like, there's meaning to this. I know there's meaning to this.
It's a 2,000-day journey, give or take a couple days, from the day that you are born to the day you enter kindergarten.
Never knew, so I love this. And I think that a lot of people discount, or maybe they have in the past, but they've discounted how important, because we talk about the formative years, but a lot of people go right to teenage, or they think of all of that, and they don't realize that so much is going on in the first 2,000 days. So what do the programs do? So if somebody's got a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old.
Well, again, we work with families that are looking for childcare for their young kids. Excuse me. Allergy season. That's one of the things I do.
Me too. I get it. Trust me. I get it.
So if you're looking for childcare, we help parents identify the kind of care that they're looking for their children, anywhere from a family childcare home to a childcare center to a faith-based site. As children are a little older, it might be a private school that offers a pre-K program, could be the public schools who offer the VPK program to a lot of children. So it is really helping parents identify the kind of place that they would like their child to be. What are they looking for in terms of the experience? What are they looking for in terms of the teacher credentials? Those sorts of things. And we spend a lot of time with parents talking about that. I think the importance that a lot of people don't understand of early childhood is that when you look at early childhood, it really spans from birth to about third grade. And there's two very fundamental things that are happening during that period of time. Obviously, the first 2,000 days of the child's life is when we are learning all of those things that help us be successful in a classroom kind of situation, because all of our children are heading towards kindergarten. So we're doing a lot of things in terms of social emotional development, emergent literacy skills. I mean, think about the kinds of things that a child needs to know before they go to school. You know, can you stand in line? Can you follow simple directions? Do you know your colors? Do you know your shapes? Do you understand the concepts, some math concepts, some science concepts? Do you begin to understand not only what letters look like, but when they come together, they create words? So there's a lot of things that are happening during the first 2,000 days of a child's life that prepares them for their educational experience. Then the second thing that happens in early childhood is that third grade reading. And we know that children who are not reading by third grade are less likely to graduate from high school, are less likely to pursue any type of post-secondary education. So what's happening in the first 2,000 days is getting ready for that extremely important starting kindergarten, starting off right, being at the same pace as all of your other classmates, so that you don't start immediately to feel like I'm different than everybody else. I don't know what other people know. So it's making sure they're out on that firm footing to begin with, and then those emergent skills that are so necessary for children to be reading in third grade.
What do you say? What do you say to people who might say, "I just need daycare. I want my child to have something, but it's not as important as the fact that." People look for different things. I guess that's what you mentioned earlier. Like my daughter has our grandson in something that we can watch all the time. For us, it was important to be able to see it from someone.
Absolutely.
For parents, that might not be important, but we also want him to be socialized and try to figure that out. And we want to see there's some reading going on at some point. But I would say that not everyone's like that. Do you find that there's a myriad of people coming to you with all sorts of things that they want?
Yes, we do. And the first thing that we say to them is that children are learning machines. And so a good, positive early childhood experience for a child is not a drill and kill. It is it's not putting them in front, in a chair where they are sitting for hours upon time and providing ditto sheets. So if you're looking for a social emotional experience for your child, then you've really come to the right place, because very good early childhood programs are grounded in social emotional development, and they clearly understand that children learn best through play. It's how they experience the world. It's how they get to know other people. It's how they learn their own boundaries. So if you are looking for a program that is a highly structured academic program, we try to counsel that parent to step back and think about what it is like to be a child and how children best learn. And they best learn in an environment that is play-based, really grounded in social emotional development.
I remember when we had the girls, well, all three kids, we put in a program called Windows that isn't around anymore, but it was a feeder program. And the reason we picked it was because of that. There are plenty of drill drill-like programs out there. And it was so structured and so formal for me as a parent. I'm like, that's not what I want them to have. But I know parents that want that. They want that. They want to know they've done 4 hours of reading, and can they do higher math yet? I mean, some of the expectations I know must be a challenge. And I want to talk about the challenges you guys have faced during COVID. What's it been like to try to do what you all do so well when there's a shutdown?
Well, at the height, we had about 40% of childcare in Orange County closed. We are back into single digits at this point in time in terms of open. So childcare is available. Early learning programs are available for families who are needing to go back to work, who are wanting to go back to work. There is capacity available. What we have in a lot of instances are parents who are still very concerned about whether or not their child could be safe. And what we want to really share with parents is that we all know, and every parent knows, that young children are petri dishes. So early childhood programs and childcare programs in their very nature are grounded in sanitation, in making sure that the place is clean and making sure that those toys are clean and safe for children, et cetera, et cetera. But since COVID, we have enhanced a lot of the actions that we've taken. Now, I say that we have encouraged people to do best practices. There may be some sites out there that aren't. So parents really, really need to be asking some tough questions of providers. Some of the best practices are that parents are not allowed in the center. So those centers that have the cameras, like you were talking about, help parents feel comfortable that they can see their child, even though they're not allowed to come in the center, because we're trying to reduce the amount of traffic. So parents are being asked the CDC questions. Have you been traveling? Have you been around anyone? Has your child been around anyone? Taking temperatures of children before they come. Some sites actually take temperatures of parents. Enhanced cleaning protocols. On a normal week, a child care center that serves 80 kids would go through 3 gallons of bleach. We're now up to about 6.
Wow.
To make sure that we are cleaning throughout the day, that toys that are mouthed are immediately picked up and removed. Some sites are wearing masks, wearing face coverings. We are really encouraging sites to look to do more of the clear screen. We're also talking with some vendors about the clear masks, because to cover your face in front of a very young child, one, is frightening. The other part is it's developmentally challenging, because the way that we learn to talk is to see people's mouths move. The way that we learn to express ourselves is to be able to see people's expressions. And it's kind of tough to do that.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Well, it is scary too, especially for a younger child.
Yes, and I think
you also can't read the facial tone. You can't. Right. You can hear the voice, but it's also a little muffled, and then you can't see the face, so you can't read it. And I've noticed that as an adult when I'm having a conversation with mask to mask.
Well, think if you're in a grocery store and someone is coming towards you, and it just happened to me recently, is that a mom is pushing a child. The child did not have a mask on. I had a mask. Mom had a mask. The child is coming. She's looking at me, and I'm smiling at her. Well, she doesn't know if I'm smiling at her. She's and I said, "Hi, sweetie, how are you today?" And her mom looks at me. Now, I don't know if her mom was smiling, saying, "Don't talk to my kid." You know, you have no idea around those things. And so also what we've heard is it's not just children, it's also seniors who are very concerned about people wearing masks because they have a difficult time understanding what they're saying and facial expressions, et cetera. So while we encourage the wearing of masks and doing those things that CDC is asking folks to do, we also are trying to explore other options in order to be responsive to the age group of the children that we're serving. So those are just some of the things that providers are doing at this point in time. Kids are in smaller groups than they normally have been in a regular childcare setting. They're being contained in a single room. Lunches are being pre-prepared, being served in the classroom, not a lot of intermingling. And as a result, the costs for these operators has gone up tremendously. So what our coalition has tried to do is to find resources, be they federal, state, or local resources, and connect early childhood programs with those resources. We've retained the services of SCORE to help childcare programs who may not know all the business lingo in order to fill out some of these applications, to really help these operators access resources that are so desperately needed at this point in time.
So how can people, that was my next question, a great lead in. How can people get involved? I think, do you have volunteer opportunities? Do you have fundraising opportunities? Do you have, like, what could somebody do that really wants to help you make an impact?
Well, there's a couple things. Let's start with our essential fund. We are accepting cash donations as well as donations of PPE, bleach, Clorox wipes, toilet paper, paper towels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that you would use in your home for sanitation and health purposes, we need in childcare, and we need them in large quantities. So our essential fund, financially or just through donations. We have boxes out in front of our office where people can drop stuff off if they would like to do that. If it's larger quantities, to let us know, and we'll figure out how we can make arrangements for those. We're also, we were doing a food drive because many of our child care centers provide lunch snacks for kids. Some of them also provide a meal to go home at night. If folks are interested in donating to our food drive for infants and toddlers, that would be great as well. This stuff is all on our website. The other thing is that we do have volunteer opportunities. We are used to sending volunteers out to read to children. Well, we really don't have them out in child care centers. So if folks are interested in reading from afar, we would love to have anyone sign up to be a reader, and we'll be happy to ship books to you and connect you with child care centers where you can read.
I think it's so important. I think even, let's say, people, some people are concerned about money right now. They're trying to figure out what they're doing. But supplies, we all have extra of, most of us. The reading from afar, I think, is such a cool program and such a great way to continue the outreach, and still you're making an impact and you're doing something. And I just want more people to embrace that, because it makes a difference. It really makes a difference. Kids that are read to and kids that aren't, it's just night and day. They're not even on the same plane or playing field. And it is a challenge. And believe it or not, I know a lot of parents out there are saying, well, of course I read to my child. Not all children get read to.
That's correct.
They don't.
Reading to children at least 30 minutes a day is what is recommended. And even parents who do not read well can make up stories.
Right.
You can use a book with pictures, and you can make up stories because you can talk about what's happening in the book. It is extremely important because it's part of language development for very young children to hear the verbal word before you recognize the letters, and you recognize the ways in which letters come together to create words. I mean, there's actually been research done that looks at children from more affluent families and children from less affluent families, and as much as a 30 billion word difference, 30 million word difference by the time the child is 4. And that really impacts vocabulary. The more vocabulary your child knows, the easier it is to read, because you come across a word, the word is said to you, and then you have a context for that word. So it's extremely important. Kids that, juvenile offenders, a significant percentage of juvenile offenders cannot read. And that's why, again, that first 2,000 days is so critical for those pre-literacy skills, those emergent literacy skills and social emotional development skills to lead to that critical reading by 3rd grade. There was one to see
that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Or there was one other way in which people can support us, and my staff would be really upset if I didn't mention this.
Please share. Please share.
Is that we do have our virtual celebration of early childhood education coming up on Saturday. It will be a totally virtual event. We will have a silent auction that will be open starting, I believe, Wednesday. We'll have some live auction items as well. It starts at 7. The silent auction will be open but the event starts at 7. It's about an hour. We're inviting people to dress up in their roaring 20s attire, and
I love it.
and invite some of your friends to a Zoom experience so that you can all be in the room where it happens. But it's our opportunity to raise money. Our largest fundraiser should have been the first part of June, and we had to postpone it. We felt it was most appropriate to postpone it. We generally raise about $150,000 to $160,000. So
Wow.
this is important to us.
It's a very big deal.
It is important to us. So any support that we could get from any of your viewers would be very much appreciated.
How do they register to bid and do all of that? Is it on the elcoc.org site?
Correct. You just click on virtual celebration, and you can sign up there. And those parents who are looking for childcare and want to also register for the volunteer pre-kindergarten program can also go to elcoc.org and go down to about the middle of the page, and you'll see a big button to go onto the family portal and register your child. We do have openings in the VPK program. We also have funding for families that are from our low-wage working families. So we invite people to come if they need assistance from us. That would be the best way to let us know what assistance we can provide.
I mean, how do you? I'm sure you've seen. I want if you can give me an example. A child that started out and you've seen them through the first 2,000 days, maybe not all 2,000. What have you? How do you see the growth? It's gotta make your heart feel good. The things that you are doing and the impact that you all are making.
Well, we can. What a early childhood teacher will tell you is by the time a child gets to us in VPK, meaning they're 4 years of age, and in some portions of our community, we're already remediating kids, that they do not have the kinds of language development. They do not have the types of social emotional maturity that is necessary to successfully interact with other children. They don't know their colors. They don't know their shapes. So we're already remediating. What we will also tell you is oftentimes children that are 18 months of age are already delayed because they haven't had an opportunity to be read to have songs sung to them. They've been in chaotic environments where they are not feeling that they're cared for. So much of who we are as human beings is around our ability to feel accepted and loved. Attachment is what it's referred to. And children come to us at very young ages without that sense of attachment. So when we are able to work with a child throughout the full period of time, from the infancy up through the graduation from VPK into kindergarten, it's wonderful because we know those kids are off to a great start. And it was because their parents were allowed us to partner with them because parents are their child's best teacher, that they allow us to partner with them, help them along the way in developing the skills that they wanted to develop in order to support their child's success in the future. It's very heartwarming.
It's just, I've seen it. I've seen it even when I've read to kids at different times. Like I've done it before at the kids' school. I've read, and you can see where the kids have grown so much, and their love of learning really starts so early. And I hope that more people will not discount that, because it really does begin that love of learning, that love of reading, your social interactions. There's just so much that goes on, and we learn in those first 2,000 days. I think what you all are doing is amazing, and I want people to engage in elcoc.org and get dressed up, get involved in the organization. The gala that they're having, I'm calling it a gala, but the fundraising event, we'll call it whatever. Guys, don't be afraid of those. I just hosted one, and you can interact, you can get involved, you can look good, and you're doing great things from the comfort of your home, and you're still making an impact and having a good time. So I encourage you all to get involved. Thank you, Karen, for all you guys do. elcoc.org. Go there, check it out. You've got some love on the feed. Karen will respond to that later. Anything you want to leave me with?
We just appreciate the opportunity to serve our community, and this is a tough time, a real tough time for all of us, and our prayers are with all of our community.
Amen to that. All right, thank you, Karen. That was awesome. You guys go out and support, please. We'll see you later. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.